Hi, everybody. I'm Louis Balla, partner here at Nuage. Today, I'm joined with Glenn Saunders, who runs our Stratus managed services offering. We went through a comprehensive list of over 2,000 NetSuite work packets last year, and we're working with Glenn on this web series to cover some of the critical elements. Today, we'll be covering security and compliance. Glenn, why don't we dive into the joys of security and compliance on everybody's minds these days? What are you seeing? What did you see last year? Where are we going?
Yeah, I think with some of the hacks that happened just recently with the Change Healthcare, where they paid out $22 million, I think everybody's really cognizant of protecting their data. And in this shared world that we live in of how many passwords do you think you have for various things, email and apps and this TV, like just streaming services. And it's similar with NetSuite, right? It's for your organization, it's one more thing to add on, right? One more password. So see more folks starting to adopt single sign-on options, whether it be through Microsoft with their SAML or single sign-on, or Okta, reinforcement of those password requirements, adopting authenticators, and also just taking a harder look at segregation of duties and things like that. The funny thing is I'm in the Jacksonville area, and it's a pretty high profile case here, but I don't know how much it made it out. But there was this is not NetSuite related anyway, but it has to do with segregation of duties of gentleman who worked there was writing and approving expenses, and he stole $22 million from the Jacksonville Jaguars because they didn't have proper accounting controls in place. So we're seeing more organizations start to take a look at, okay, Louis puts in the expense request, Glenn approves it, somebody else pays it. So there's no type of double dipping and those types of things. So trying to identify gaps and roles to make sure that there's no overlap and there's proper segregation of duties, which is pretty critical for organizations. But so many times it gets overlooked. And that's one of the things we do in Stratus is we take a look at those roles, those permissions, to understand what the organization has set up and if there is any risk, so we can identify it. And if the customer says it's okay, it's not. It's okay. It's their choice, but we want to make sure we're identifying and proactive and helping keep our customers secure and compliant.
Yeah, it's funny. Most times when you talk to customers, prospects alike on security and compliance, if nothing has happened to them already, and I know we've had some customers who've come to NetSuite from an old legacy ERP where they got hacked and they said, the hell with it, let's just go to a new ERP like NetSuite. It's kind of one of those things where people don't want to take it seriously until it's too late. How are you with the Stratus team trying to get folks to realize security and compliance is just so critical to the way they're doing things, and how are you keeping that top of mind with these organizations you're working with?
So one of the things we do when we go through our intake, which for those that don't know, it's basically as you sign up with Stratus, there's a process where we're learning about your business, we're asking questions, and that is one of the things that we cover is roles, responsibilities, permissions. We want to take a look at their user list or employees and understand who has access. What do they do within the organization? What do they have access to within NetSuite? To make sure that we're just identifying any issues that we see for the customer to tell us, hey, remediate, let's fix this, let's take this away from them. So we're doing those kind of system audits as part of intake. And as you know, we do intake every 12 months, right? So we do intake the first contract period, we do intake on the second. We're constantly doing that because we want to ask questions in a different manner to help identify where we can optimize things. How is the business changing? How is the organization changing? Is there turnover? Does there need to be training? Standard procedures and things like that to help customers get more out of what their investment into NetSuite is.
Yeah, and and from my perspective, I think GDPR probably was a blessing in disguise, as we look at just the states finally catching up with just some of the responsibilities they should have been thinking about. Some of our customers who are more international, global, security compliance has been top of mind. Are you starting to see a turning point with organizations who maybe just it's one legal entity and yeah, a Texas, Florida versus some of these other groups who have spent years looking at it?
I think so. I think savvy business owners understand that there's a risk in that, and they have to know the value of the data that they hold. Credit card information. What does it cost for somebody that steals credit card information from your business? Your customer list. You didn't give someone else access to that. That's not, you owe a duty to your customers to hold their data securely. And that's that's personal information. That is part of what's protected. And you're right. The state's finally catching up that matters. The TikTok thing we're going through right now, very topical of, they're taking our data. They got, that type of thing. People are starting to realize that has value. People sell that on the open market. Your information, your personal information is really important. And a lot of people don't know how easy it is to get personal information. But as a business owner, you better know to keep it secure so you don't get sued. And nobody wants to deal with wasteful legal fees over something that could have been prevented.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's the countless amount of outreach we get from NetSuite individuals, NetSuite customers who have not set up MFA. And then NetSuite with the latest release kind of requiring that. It is pretty shocking how this is just not industry practice. Is that something you are not necessarily recommending, but enforcing on the Stratus team with our customers?
Not enforcing, because ultimately the customer's the boss, right? But we definitely recommend it. We recommend, setting up multi-factor authentication. It's really hard for someone to open up my phone without my face, right? So somebody's trying to sign in that they're not me. Well, first off, they have to be close enough to me to get my phone, which then limits the number of people that can actually steal the password to get in. So it's a pretty secure method. I recommend it. It is a pain sometimes when I'm trying to sign in and I'm like, crap, my phone's across the room, but prevents people from gaining access to, not only for us, but for customers, right? Customer data. So
absolutely. Well, to our listeners, we certainly appreciate you tuning into this web series. We'll be going through a couple more. Next, we'll be talking about enhanced user interface and experience. On behalf of Glenn and myself, thank you for joining us today.